you know, I love these episodes because very seldomly we get to speak to people that's behind the cameras, right? So many people in our culture, their objective is to be in front of the camera. Where there's so many people making more money that's behind the camera, there's so many people that's making more money that's not in front of the camera. There's so many other jobs that exist. So I would like for you to start down with what exactly is casting, right? Like if a person wants your job, right? What would they have to start doing? Because casting.
I mean, you know, I don't know what anyone needs to be a casting director. What happened to me was, like I said, we started casting. We did Juice. That was our first movie. Then Tretch happened to be one of the Rodimus crew guys. Mm-hmm. Right. So then he did the OPP video and threw us in that. Wow. And then it's like, you know, we had little jobs here and there. But like you said, it was like, you know, Latino Thug 1.
Right, yeah.
You know, Raper 2. Like, you know, it was just like...
Raper 2,
you know, I still have my resume. So it's like Thug 1, Crackhead 1, Heroin Addict 2. That's it, right?
But Raper 2 takes the cake, though, man.
You didn't have names.
That's it.
You would literally have like a name like that, like Thug 4.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
it was fucking Thug 3. You know, that guy.
What's funny, there's this actor named N.O.R.E.
Yeah, we just had him.
Did he show you his resume?
Yeah,
okay. Hector 80 times. And Jose twice. You know what I'm saying? So that was it. But he was a star, so he was getting the people.
Yeah.
We were the 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Right. But what was the question?
Casting.
Oh, casting. Yeah. So anyway, so that was it. Mm-hmm. That was it. So at some point we're like, is that it?
Right.
You know, so you know, I was complaining in the morning. My father was like, you can't get mad. You got to learn how to do it and fix it, because they don't know. Right. How do they know what Latinos look like? Because at that point, it was only Mexican. Because all the movies done with Latinos was in L.A., so it was very Mexican driven, blood in, blood out, American meat. So that was kind of the vibe. So it was like, who's going to change that? So when I came to the cast, like, yo, that was really good, man. But can you be more Latino? I'm like, I'm sorry, white lady. What do you mean? You know, like, older leg, give me the perk. And I'm like, this shit takes place in the Bronx.
Right. They don't understand the diversity.
So anyway,
get okay, baby.
So anyway, so then I used to always say, if I was a casting director, I would change shit. I was a casting director. And then me and Jessy, we were involved with N.O.R.E, who did I Like It Like That. Yeah. And when she was developing that, she had us do readings, like, you know.
Because that was like a Latino movie somewhat, right?
Yeah,
that was a big Latino
one. That was a big attempt at doing that. So anyway, so we were involved in that, you know, with the readings and all that stuff. And then me and Jessy, we used to be rappers, right?
Back no, I didn't hear that part. Oh, yeah. I did bad research, I didn't hear that part.
Yeah, we used to be rappers back in the day. So we went...
What was the name of your group?
Probable Cause. Big Jess to Fly You.
No, Probable Cause.
The Probable Cause? That's not that bad. That's not that bad.
It could have been worse.
You know, a lot of times when cops pull you over because they got probable cause. Okay. So that was like a popular term there.
Big Jess to Fly You. Anyway.
So you even changed your voice right there.
Barry White, right?
I'm gonna fly you. Anyway, so long story short, when the movie got picked up, we were in Canada. So the beepers didn't work out there. So they tried to beep us and they couldn't get us. So we missed the opportunity. I like it like this. So we missed the opportunity. So we came back like, oh, we're calling for this movie, blah, blah, blah. So then since we knew the whole team, they were like, you know what? You used to always talk shit. If you was a casting director, you would do something. Won't you do an internship on this to learn the process?
Right.
So that's kind of how I got involved. So one thing I would say is do an internship. Right. A lot of the positions in the entertainment business, you know, ask to do an internship. Right. You work for free to learn the process. That's what I did. I worked for free on Like It Like That. There was a Latino film, and back then there was nobody in the game. So my boss at the time, Yolanda Gerald, was like, oh shit, how are we gonna cast this movie? We don't have anybody here. I was like, what do you need tomorrow? 50 Latinos. Got it. Yo. So I was, I had access to it. Right. So then she was like, wow, this guy's an asset. He got access to Latinos and African Americans. It didn't exist in the union or the agencies back then. So then she hired me, and we did New Jersey Drive, Above the Rim, Sunset Park, and we did a lot of the urban joints, you know what I'm saying?
So basically, a person writes a script. Mm-hmm. They get their main characters, right?
Yeah.
And then they come to you and they have you cast the rest of the characters?
Yeah, well, there's 2 levels of casting. There's principal casting, which would be the stars and all the speaking roles, and then there's extras casting. Right?
Okay.
Sometimes you're just casting like the background extras that don't speak.
The Doug, number 1. And
Doug, number 1, the guy that gets seen, but he doesn't have no lines.
And Raper 3.
Yeah, because basically
that's Raper 2. Get it right.
It's a financial thing.
Right.
It's a financial thing. Once they open their mouth, if it's a union movie, they got to get paid X amount of dollars. If they don't speak, they get X amount of dollars. You know?
Wow.
So like, let's say if I was here and I was like podcaster 2, but I didn't speak and the scene was just him, I would be here and every once in a while I would laugh and do shit.
Right.
But they would put somebody else's voice in my voice.
Oh, so they don't have to pay you. Oh, shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did NORE teach us? Because it's union.
Oh no, he said that there's a workaround the union.
Fortunate or
I forgot the term he used.
Fricore.
Yeah, that's it.
Fricore.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So that doesn't really exist though.
Okay.
Something that happened years ago where urban actors.
where you can work for union and non-union?
Yeah.
That's what that is?
Yeah, so there was like a fight, a long time ago where they were like, it's not fair, there's not enough roles for us in the big space, so we're dying right now.
Right.
So we have to be able, so they created this thing called FICOR.
Yep,
but if you call the union, they tell you, FICOR, that doesn't exist. But people do it. So I don't know how real it is or how
I mean,
union,
he swore by it. Like,
I get it. And I use union people in non-union movies all the time.
Right.
That have FICOR on their picture.
Right.
When you call the union, they go, that does not exist.
So the problem is when you go back to that era of like the Juice era, that was like the explosion of all the black films.
Right.
Juice, Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, all these urban movies were being done.
were they considered indie at the time, those films, or no?
There was studio finance.
Okay.
There was studio finance, but like Friday, those movies were still low budget. Friday was like $500,000, $600,000.
Right.
It might have been a budgeted at like $2-3 million, but that was the music.
Right.
That was other stuff that was cost on top. So that was like the explosion when you saw like Hollywood say, you know what, hip hop was getting so big, they needed things to mirror the culture. So they started making these movies that were like geared with urban people, and then when they started casting those movies, there weren't enough people in the union.
Right.
So they were like, yo, we can't even, there's no black extras in the union.
Right.
There's no Latino extras in the union. So when people were trying to do authentic projects, they couldn't find the people. That's where casting directors like my brother started to grow, because they had the access and the authenticity to say, you know what? I know people, when people were making music videos, Diane Martel, rest in peace. Yeah, exactly. Diane, that's how he started working with Diane, because Diane liked the raw videos, and she didn't find those kind of casting.
I thought you started working with Diane Martel because you wrote Money, Power, Respect.
But we were working with her before already, because he started working with her on the casting. That's how I met her.
On the casting.
All her junk, everything.
Yeah, so
rest in peace, Diane Martel.
No, Diane,
she passed away recently too.
Recently, yeah. She was sort of my first mentor in the music video space, and he was working with her with casting. But Diane's videos were raw, so she was like, I want a crackhead.
Yep.
And then he'll bring somebody, and he was like, I don't want an actor crackhead, I want a real crackhead. Like, I want you to go find some dude in the street.
She made me perform in front of fire. And I was like, not fake fire? She was like, no, you're gonna perform. I was like, yo, I don't want, you don't want the fake shit? Like, they were like, no.
She's like, keep it real.
Yeah. And I was sweating and everything.
So she was super raw. So what happened was that somewhere along the lines, there was a moment where I was like around her and people that worked with her, and she had an assistant at that time, where I found out that they were writers in music videos. I didn't know that. Like, that there were other people that wrote concepts. Right, for directors. I thought
like the treatment, you mean?
Yeah. So
like you could write the concept for them. Okay.
So one time I was like, oh shit, there's like people involved. So like one time we were somewhere and she was on the phone, and I think it might have been Puff, and she was on the phone with him.
He didn't like the treatment.
He didn't like the treatment. And at that time, it was like Diane, it was Hype, it was like all the big directors were up for those kind of jobs. Like I wasn't directing. And I ear hustled this, so I heard like the convo a little bit, so I tried to jump in. And I was like, I think I know.
Why, you ain't like
she was hardcore, so she was like, well, fuck you know. Fuck you know, you so smart, why don't you write this shit? And I was like, I wrote the concept.
Right.
So she submitted it, and then she got the video. So the production company she was signed to was like, oh, maybe the Dominican kid knows something.
Right.
And then after she did Money, Power, Respect, I started getting music.
Right.
Like
So she started sending you music?
Yeah, she
her,
started-
her herself?
The production company she
production
decided
company, okay.
started sending me music. So then I started
basically write this concept.
Yeah, and I would talk to her first, so she wasn't like just letting me write blind.
Right.
And she was like, study this movie, look at these scenes in this movie. She would give me references. I would look at the movie, come up with a concept. She might hate 50% of it. I'll rewrite it.
Right.
And then she was big then. So like, when I started working with Diane, she was already here.
Right.
So, everything we was doing was like big shit. Wu-Tang, Mariah, it was like all big, Christina Aguilera, it was all big stuff. And then at some point, I got approached by some reps, and they were like, yo, we just signed this kid out of Baltimore named Chris Robinson.
Yep, Robot Film.
Exactly, and that sort of got me in the world with Chris, and I started writing with him, but he was at a different stage because Chris was on the come up.
Okay.
Which sometimes people feel the impact more in the come up, not on the top.
Right.
So with Chris, when I started working with him, Chris didn't let me write solo, so they would fly me
together in the same room.
And we would sit and we would rock out a bunch of treatments, and then Chris's career started going wham, 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 and I was like part of that wave. And then ultimately Chris signed me, and blah blah blah. The rest is history,
Right. Let's make some noise for that.